So out of the blue today, while I was working and not even paying attention, as of 11 a.m. today, a article was released about the deep dive into Arc 3.0. Now, what does that mean? Basically, we actually know some things that are happening with Arc 3.0. Now, to start off with new abilities, a first of the new buff is going to be Amplified, which is key to the Arc 3.0 experience. An Amplified Guardian is both faster in both terms of movement speed and in terms of weapon handling, and more agile, able to perform longer slides that can function as devastating setup for attacks that follow. Unlike other damage types of buffs, Void, Invisibility, or Solar Radiant, players don't need to equip any specific aspect or fragments to become amplified. By default, Arc classes become amplified after rapidly defeating targets with any arc damage, and equipped aspects and fragments offer additional ways to become or benefit from being amplified. After sprinting for a few seconds, an amplified guardian will gain another boost of speed, as designer Mike Humboldt put it. Basically, as fast as we can make the sprint animation go, getting a sizable PvE damage resistance buff and enabling an even longer slide ability. Imagine full-on Metroid speed booster mode, only Samus is now within Gjallarhorn. And even if a player is no longer amplified, as long as they keep on sprinting, the speed boost will stay active. Now, in developing the speed booster, probably took the longest time to get on board with, in that you already were moving fast to begin with, and when asked about the process of developing and refining the verbs for Arc 3.0, adding PvE damage resistance to said speed booster to cement is a strong gap closing tool, and seeing as it being used to move from one cover to the next, is playtesting really brought it all together for me. You should start sprinting, and then you hear this audio swell start to come up, and then you're like a jet engine rocketing around the arena. It's awesome. On the debuff side, Arc 3.0 is bringing two to the party, Blinding and Jolt. Blinded opponents in PvE won't be able to see naturally and will be disoriented and unable to fire their weapon. In PvP, blinded opponents will have their screen whited out and their HUD removed for a short period of time, alongside a disoriented, watched out audio effect. Jolted opponents who are damaged will periodically send slivers of chain lightning out to enemies, damaging in the process. So basically, they come in a lightning rod. Arc 3.0 also democratizes Ionic traces, which were previously available only on Middle Tree Warlocks, now available to all. Traces are objects that, when collected, add energy for your abilities. Now that you are familiar with the basics, let's jump into the classes themselves and how they will be making the most of Arc 3.0. Now, Hunters! Now, to basically go through it. A Hunter dashing forward, crackling with the power of Arc Lightning, is a sight that is sure to strike fear in the heart of any enemy. As with previous subclass revamps, the team had definite images in mind when considering what new Arc class is like in combat. For Hunter, the team imagined Graceful Warrior Monk, giving the Hunter the ability to get in close quarters quickly and effectively making a mess of the opponents in process. For Hunters, who we wanted to reward staying close and being safe while you're in close quarters with an enemy, which is difficult in a lot of our content, said Humboldt. We wanted to give them tools to stay alive, whether they close the gap or were in a melee combo. That came primarily in the form of giving them crowd control tools. To that end, the Hunter's Arc Staff Super is returning. With Arc Staff, Hunters will be able to block and deflect projectiles with the press of a button, as well as performing an armored dodge, where upon dodging, the Hunter is more resistant to incoming damage. Only one super didn't seem like enough to compete, thus the introduction of a brand new Arc Super, the Gathering Storm. Here, the Hunter reaches the air, throwing their staff into the ground, or into an unlucky enemy like a spear, and upon impact, the staff emisses damaging bursts that built nearby enemies. Soon after, a giant bolt of lightning strikes the staff and overcharges, creating a large damage zone, runs for several seconds while overthrows the staff that helps lightning damage enemies near it. Awesome. On the melee side, the team kept the Hunter's combination of abilities, dealing with right mind and Graceful Warrior's energy. Work spells combo blow will refund dodge energy. Increase melee damage and restore a small amount of health, allowing skill equipment to change the dodges and melee attacks into ballistic burst of Beautiful Fury. In addition to orienting blow melee, the gun body holds the devastating small attack that also attacking to find the Hunter dodge along the way. Or the Hunter. Now, the Hunters will be able to choose the three arc aspects that customize their attack. The flow state, beating a jolted opponent now makes it become amplified. While amplified, the Hunter's dodge will recharge faster and weaken lower damage, as well as having low time. Not pretty basic. And then we also have Tempest Strike, allows the Hunter to perform a sliding melee that unlocks the arc wave along the ground, doing significant damage and jolting moves in attack. So basically, Tempest Strike is now melee along with concentration and other things like the trapper dodge. Now, at the same time, the sound that buff obviously can now go good damage as well as lightning affecting anything else. But next we have Unco Current. At dodges, Hunters melee one range is finished and their next melee attack jolts the target and takes damage lightning at the top.
Immediately our staff super after dodging, the next monster staff lightning attacks it twice, and then it goes melee attack will blind them. So it sounds like we didn't get a lot of new stuff. It sounds like honestly it's just the old stuff and a thing that allows, amplification. So it seems like the new aspects aren't exactly that unique to You'll find a particular note that Architect will bring back quite interesting movements that are hunters. In fact, the ability also to the baseline pop.
For any class that has access to it, looking at you, Void Warlocks. Blink hasn't really been touched since Destiny 2's release and never quite reached the height of its previous reign of terror. We felt like it's a good time to walk a few of the tuning stages back a little and bring Blink's potency at baseline without needing exotic equipped. In practical terms, this means an increase in travel distance and a reworked recharge model for the ability that will keep it fresh while maintaining its effectiveness. Now, for Warlocks, to continue, basically, 2 supers will be available for Warlocks as Imagine Chaos Reach and Storm Trance. Now, is more akin to the image of Palpatine floating around the world. The super contains both the landfall behavior in the previous bottom tier arc and the iconic blink behavior. So you will be able to landfall, basically zap the lightning below you, as well as teleport blink everywhere else. And with Chaos Reach, the players are able to shoot and concentrate a beam of arc energy on their hands as usual. Warlocks have 2 melee abilities, both utilizing the power of lightning. The Bull Lightning melee will send out a floating ball of arc energy that detonates, zapping enemies down from above. And the Chain Lightning will send out arcs of electric energy to strike and jolt the primary target and chain damage the surrounding enemies in the process. As basically a single target or multiple target. The Warlock's whole thing has been the Warlock's whole thing is that being amplified modifies their behaviors. It powers them up. Said done. For Ball Lightning, if you're amplified, the arc ball will fly out and zap enemies 3 times instead of just the normal 1, so they can get more damage out of it. For Chain Lightning, the chains to more targets more specifically, while normal Chain Lightning creates a single set of chains that bounce between a number set of targets, while amplified, the ability creates 2 sets of chains that can potentially jump twice to the number of enemies. Now, the 3 aspects available. Arc Soul. The Warlock will cast a Rift to create an Arc Soul that will assist the player in battle. Allies who pass through the Rift will also earn an Arc Soul. The Rift charges faster when enemies are near, while amplified in any Arc Soul you have gained or is supercharged, increasing its rate of fire. So, Arc Soul is pretty much the same. Electrostatic Surge was rolled into it, in addition to being benefited from Amplify now. Lightning Surge. The Warlock activates their melee while sliding to transform into a ball of lightning and teleport forward, calling down a field of lightning bolts that exit at the exit point that jolts targets. So they now have a new melee attack that's aspect related, which is another, slide ability. And then we also have Electrostatic Mind. Arc ability kills and kills on arc debuff enemies create Ionic traces. When you collect any Ionic trace, you become amplified. So, Warlock isn't too different and actually sounds pretty nice as well. Now for Titans, the pièce de résistance. Now, to go through it, you don't get to move the Arc Titan, they move you. The Arc Titan's ultimate goal is to punch you in the face, and so a lot of what we did for Arc Titan was try to figure out how we facilitate face-to-face contact as much as possible. That desire to punch all things manifest in a couple of devastating supers that are returning for Arc 3.0, Fist of Havoc and Thunder Crash. While the latter is practically unchanged from before, Fist of Havoc now has an adjusted slam radius that's halfway between the top and bottom path, and the ground slam leaves behind a damaging field in its wake, while slamming in the air causes damaging AoE effects from previous bottom tree behavior. In the case of Thunder Crash and other abilities, uncoupling a subclass's abilities from old subclass Diamond system will result in some substantial buffs depending on how players use it. It is one of the intrinsic advantages of the new Sub.0 I'm just going to say Sub.0. A system bringing to Destiny while you start pairing them with different things. Even though nothing changed about the actual ability, they can end up getting significantly stronger as a result. Because now that they aren't locked to a can set of perks to surround them, Thunder Crash is a great example of that. One of the biggest changes coming to Arc Titan is the new Thruster class ability. While double tapping a button while on the ground, the Titan bursts in their throttle directed speed, performing a quick first-person evade comparable to in distance to a hunter's dodge. Arc is the damage type that is most about mobility, so if we're going to add a mobility boost anywhere for Titans, it's going to be here. So people can quit complaining about no Twilight Garrison. We have a dodge now, it's just on Arc class. For melee abilities, Titans will retain the Seismic Smash shoulder charge, which blinds enemies, performing a Seismic Strike while amplified increases the radius of the blind, and the blinding effects will last longer. Ballistic Slam also returns, where players can slam to the ground and sprinting in the air, creating a damaging explosion upon impact. Those returning melees are joined by a brand new charge attack known as Thunder Clap. Here, the Titan player holds the melee button in charge of the arc energy that can be unleashed in either a quick, powerful jab or held and built up to be unleashed in one furious one-man punch-style blast that will devastate an opponent. The charge state cannot be stored, and the Titan must be on the ground to charge this punch. The damage is significant. A 90% charge Thunderclap will one-shot Guardians in PvP, but that reward will be balanced by the time it would take to build up and charge that level, and the fact that you must retain stationary to charge. Anyways, a dangerous move in PvP. The total, like other subclasses, the Arc 3.0 had 3 aspects to select from. Touch of Thunder improves arc grenades in the following ways. Flashbang fires an additional blind impulse on its first bounce. Pulse, when the grenade damages an enemy and creates an Ionic trace for the Titan. Pulse grenade damages increase over time as the grenade lingers upon impact. Lightning grants additional charge for the lightning grenade and jolts on initial blast. Storm creates a roaring thundercloud that moves and tracks enemies similar to Stasis Hunter's Silence and Squall Super, firing lightning bolts that go underneath it. I might have to take that because I am super excited about storm grenades on Titan. Juggernaut. While sprinting with full class ability energy, the Titans gain a frontal shield that blocks incoming damage. While amplified, the shield is stronger. Once the shield is depleted by taking damage, the player's class energy is depleted. So it's kind of functioning like a Loreley Titan wall. And then Knockout. Melee kills trigger health regeneration and make the Titan amplified. Critically wounding an enemy or breaking their shield increases melee range and damage for a brief period. Titan's base melee becomes arc empowered while Knockout is active. Now, to complete the class-specific aspects, Arc 3.0 might introduce a new suite of new fragments. Obviously, here's a look at some of the fragments to come. Spark of Beacons. While the player is amplified, Arc special weapons create a blinding explosion. That sounds like a really good crowd control one. Spark of Resistance. When surrounded by energies, the players have increased damage resistance. Always good. Spark of Momentum. Sliding over ammo will reload your weapon in a small amount of melee energy. Sliding over heavy ammo increases the amount of energy granted. So that's basically inertia override. And Spark of Shock. The player's arc grenades jolt enemies. Oh boy, this is starting to get good. But at the same time, that's pretty much everything they have for us regarding the, first view of Arc 3.0. And that's aspects, supers, melee abilities, everything new, as well as a few fragments coming with Arc 3.0. For that, my name is Matt Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.